Hi, and welcome to the first video in a series I'll be calling Beast Rules Explained. The goal of this series is to go over the most common questions and edge cases that have been asked in the official Discord server and on PGG. To first set the stage, my name is Dylan. I'm an official playtester for the Beast expansions, Shattered Isles, and The Great Hunt, which launched on GameFound on September 19th. I've also been a longtime community member with over 70 games of Beast under my belt. That being said, full disclosure, I do not work for Studio Midhall, nor am I paid to make this video. This is completely a fan-made project. This video is also for those who have a basic understanding of Beast, and I will use terminology commonly used in the game. Hopefully the video is clearer and concise enough to understand, but if anything doesn't make sense, don't hesitate to ask in the comments section, especially if there are any concepts or rules that aren't clear to you. Let me know, and maybe I'll make the next video off that topic. Alternatively, you can always join us in the Discord server and ask us there. I'll leave a link in the description. Now for the video. The first topic I wanted to cover is the idea of trail tokens. What are they? When do you place them? When do they come off the board? How do they interact with certain cards and watchtowers? I'll go over all of that today. And let's start right into it. What are trail tokens? Trail tokens are tokens that hunters can find while the beast is hidden, revealing information as to where the beast has gone, and hopefully help the hunters find and strike the beast. When the beast moves around the map using the movement cards you'll see here, the 4 directional cards and the no movement card, each card will correspond to a trail with the exception of the no movement card, and I'll get into more of that in a bit. For example, if the beast were to move north and east, such as this, normally this would be face down, but for demonstrative purposes I'll leave it face up. So if the beast went north and east, that means there are 2 locations that would now leave a trail. Important to note that it's always identified by where that card is. So by having this north card, the potential trails are here and here, off of the last known location of the beast. Which brings us to the next question. When do trails go onto the board? Trails can be revealed by 3 different sources. Either a hunter finds them, a settler finds them, or an active watchtower will find them. I'll start off with the hunters. Whenever a hunter is standing in a location that corresponds with a placed movement card, they immediately reveal a trail. This can be even done midway through their steps. So let's assume that Grimgear is standing up north here, and Grimgear played a card such as Rush. That lets Grimgear move up to 2 steps. Grimgear could do the first step, going down, and immediately ask the hunter, is there a trail? In this case, there is, and so the beast will place a trail here. Now Grimgear knows that this was one of the 2 steps that the beast made, and has to kind of gamble or decide, do they move any further? They can choose to stop here, but given that the beast did 2 steps, they're going to try another spot. They will go 1 to the west and ask, is there a trail? In this case, they picked wrong, and the beast will say, nope, no trails. It gives information nonetheless, because now you know that the beast did not go left, and when they went up, probably went to the right. Again, Grimgear had already been up top, and there were no trails, so there's very few spots left. Another way to reveal trails is through settlers. So let's take Rush, for example. Let's say this case, Esmeria played Rush. So Esmeria is currently here and decides to play north, north, and west, planning to go in for the attack to attack the settler. Well, these locations correspond to those 3 spots, one of which already has a settler. So once Esmeria places down all 3 cards, Esmeria will say at the end of that movement, there is a trail on this location, which gives away a lot of information to the hunters, which this settlement is 3 steps away from Esmeria, so they know that Esmeria is essentially right here. Do note that the settler doesn't have to move into that location to reveal a trail, nor does a hunter have to move into that location. If the beast moves over a hunter or over a settler, essentially over any human on the board, it does reveal a trail automatically. So to use that same example, let's say Grimgear was already standing up top. In this case, the beast plays north, northwest, and we'll say after placing down all 3 cards, we'll say there are 2 trails that are revealed. They are like that. It's important to note here that you place these trails after placing down all 3 movement cards. And it's important because it gives some strategic leeway to the beast. So I'll use the same idea of Rush, which lets you move 3 steps, but I'll use a slightly different example. So in this case, the beast was last seen was last revealed right next to Vintervik and decides to play Rush on their turn. There are several things they could do. They could play north, east, north, meaning they go through those 3 locations. And at the end of those cards, they would say, okay, I've played my 3 cards, there are 2 trails. The hunters know the beasts move 3 steps, meaning that they're up to 3 steps away from here. So seeing these 2 trails means maybe they're here, maybe they're here, maybe they're here. Or maybe they're even closer, because there are still the potential of playing the no movement card. See, no movement card means the beast doesn't move. It helps the beast trick or bluff the hunters, meaning that they put down more cards than they actually moved. So in this case, we'll use a slightly different example. I could have played no movement, north, and east. In this case, after placing all 3 trails down, the beast would say, there are 2 trails. And all 3 movement cards, you place 2 trails. Now, this to the hunters will look exactly the same whether I did no movement or whether I played north, meaning it is potential that I am here, here, or here, up to 3 steps away. Or maybe I played no movement cards, as I did in this example, and I'm actually right on Grimgear. And then Grimgear has to decide, do they use their hunt, gambling on this location, or do they play another movement card to check some of the other locations first before going for the hit. And this case really demonstrates the importance of not placing trails after every card. So we have had some questions, or some people that believe that after playing Rush, I would have to play, and I played north. I was intending to do north, east, north. So my first example. Some people were under the impression you put down 1 card, then you say, okay, there's a trail, then you place the next, say there's a trail, and then you place the last one. You'll see this way of playing the game does provide a lot more information to the hunters and isn't quite fair for the beast, and it's not the way it's intended to be played. So this is not how you place trails, because in this case, the hunters know that this step corresponds to their second card, and it takes away all potential of bluffing, which is an important mechanic for the beast. So once again, to make sure that it was clear, if you play a card that says, let's say 3 movements or 3 steps, you place down all of your cards, then you place down your trails in whatever order you need. And again, you don't have to place them in the order that you took the steps. So in this case, I could have played north, east, east, ending here, and I could say, oh, there are 2 trails. And then in this case, maybe I did no movement northeast. Maybe I went east, northwest. Maybe I went north, east, north, east, south. There's a lot of options still here that you can bluff, or you can try and trick the hunters into thinking. Let me just clean up the board a little bit here. So that is how the hunters and settlers reveal trails. Either they move into them or the hunter moves over them. These trails are revealed immediately. The last way of revealing trails is the watchtower. So let's say Grimgear uses Cleave, their special mechanic, and places a watchtower on this location. Active watchtowers are defined by watchtowers that are manned by a hunter, unless you have upgrades such as Grimgear, which lets settlers activate watchtowers. But the basic way of playing the game with no upgrades would be that this watchtower is only active if Grimgear is in it. If this watchtower is here, and the beast were to play something like Rush, the watchtower reveals all nearby trails. So anything that is on that location or connected to it will be revealed. So let's say I played Rush, and in this case I played east, east, and north, meaning I went here, here, and here. I would be revealing, I would have to, after place my card, say there are 2 trails over here and here, which gives a lot of information again to the hunters, meaning with the watchtower, you know that the beast is most definitely here. They played 3 cards, they went 3 steps. However, if this watchtower was not manned, let's say Grimgear was standing in Vintervik, and you did the movement, no trails would appear on the board because there's no one in the watchtower to trigger it. However, on following turns, let's say Grimgear goes next, and they play Rush, or any movement card really, and move into the watchtower. It is now, at this point, considered active. So Grimgear will have used the first step of rush. They can move up to 2. So their first step goes here, and then they'll ask, are there any trails? And then the beast must say, yep, there's a trail here, and a rogue trail, a trail here. Now, with this information, Grimgear can choose to do one additional step, knowing that the beast is 3 steps away and it must be at this location, and then use hunt. Oh, that's their cleaver. And then say, I'm using hunt to search and attack this location, revealing the beast and getting a hit. So watchtowers, essentially when active, treat every location as if there was a human there looking for trails. But once empty, doesn't reveal anything anymore. Now, all that being said, there's also the question of when do trails come off the map? And I did it subconsciously here, but trails come off the board only when the beast is revealed. So we'll backtrack a little bit and go back to this example. Let's say the beast had moved east, east, south. And this watchtower was active. So after placing those tokens, those cards, the beast would put 1 trail, meaning the beast is currently in this location. There's 1 trail revealed. Grimgear on his turn plays rush, goes down 1 step, knowing there's no trail here because the watchtower was active and didn't reveal anything, and does an additional step here, looking for the additional trail, and would ask the beast, is there a trail? The beast would say, nope, nothing to show. Actually, for demonstrative purposes, let's change one of these with a no movement to add it a bit more complex. It wouldn't change anything for it so far. So the beast is actually here. Then, after Grimgear's turn, it goes to Iona, and Iona plays track. This is Grimgear's track, but let's say this was Iona playing it. Iona would take 1 step and ask, is there a trail? And the beast would say, yep, there's a trail. Now, because they found a trail, track lets you move 1 additional step because you walked over a trail. And Iona could say, hey, I know there's no trail up here. There's no trail there. And no trail was on me, meaning the beast didn't enter Tiveden, meaning the beast is either here or went south. You could stop there and search if you have the right cards for it. But in this case, the hunters believe that since they are so close, Asmeria definitely must have gone further away to get away from the hunters, and uses that extra step to go south. Unfortunately, they were wrong. They would ask, are there any trails? And Asmeria would say, nope, no trails. This gives Asmeria an opportunity to run away. So let's, again, I'm going to keep reusing track, normally rush. Normally you can't use the same card over and over again, but purely demonstrative purposes. Let's say at this point, Asmeria plays rush and goes west, west, and no movement. I want to point out one thing, that on this location, right, Asmeria went east and no movement. The new movement doesn't generate a second trail on this location. Specifically, no movement doesn't generate any trail at all. So, however, in this case, now that Asmeria has moved back west, so she moved up to here and then moved back, there would be double trails on these locations. So let's say on Grimgear's turn, plays rush for themselves, so they have 2 steps. Grimgear would move up 1 step and ask, are there any new trails? And Asmeria would have to say, yep, there's a second trail, indicating that Asmeria backtracked at one point or another. And if Grimgear moved over to here, say, any new trails? Once again, Asmeria came over here, there is a new trail. And so if you go over a location multiple times, there are multiple trails for every card that matches that location. Once again, excluding no movement cards. Now, if at this point Asmeria decides to attack Grimgear using her attack card Murder, let's just pull it out here. So Asmeria plays Murder. She is standing on a cave, which lets her attack, then move 1 step. So she attacks, she reveals herself to be here. The moment she is revealed, all trails are returned to the pile. Then they do the attack, and then Asmeria can move 1 step, and for simplicity's sake, let's say she's moving west. Let me just clean up my board here a little bit. So Esmeria is now no longer revealed, but that one moment of revealing cleared all these trails. Meaning now, if Iona were to play track, which lets her move one step, and if her new location has a trail move an additional step, there are no trails nearby to use. So if she moves one up, let's say, there used to be trails, but they're no longer there. She doesn't get to move any further. So revealing yourself as a beast to remove old trails is a good way to stop hunters from chasing you, but it does also give away quite a lot of information. Essentially, it shows them exactly where you are. So that goes over most of the concepts of trails and how they're placed. I just want to go over a few ability cards or a few cards that that have special interactions with trails. One of them we've already gone over is track. It lets you move an additional step if you found a trail, but it's important to note here it's only move up to one additional step. So if she moved up, Iona here, and found a trail, she gets to move an additional. And let's say she went over and found another trail. She doesn't get to do a third step. She has a maximum of 2. However, the card Prowl, which is an action card, lets you do that additional movement. So Prowl lets you move an infinite number of times as long as every location you walk over has a trail. So if we go back to that example and she moved up to here, found a trail, move again, found another trail, she could decide to go back and forth over and over again if she wants, as long as she's moving onto trails. But the moment she steps into a spot and there are no trails, new or old, she stops moving. And it's important to note for both of these cards, it does not have to be new trails. It is any trail, old or new. Also important to note is that the mini, the standee of the beast, has a trail on its base. And that is because when the beast is hidden, the standee counts as a trail. So Esmeria could do Prowl, move up 1, move another, and move once again, completely getting around the beast. So in our earlier case, where Esmeria had gone east and then came back west and came back west, she could use Prowl to cut off the beast and make its way all the way across. However, if the beast is revealed, so let's say the beast was currently revealed meaning there's no movement cards in the active movement column, meaning the beast is here and is known to be here, the base doesn't act as trails because there are no trails if you are revealed. Trails only exist when the beast is hidden. So in this case, if Iona is standing right there, it's her turn, she plays track, she does one step. She cannot use the fact that this standee has a trail at its base to move an additional step. There are, for all intents and purposes, no trails on this location. The beast is there. The final card that triggers as a unique reaction with trails is Flare. It's a reaction item card that's very powerful for the hunters. That it's the trigger for the reaction is to play it whenever a trail appears on a settler's location. So for example, let's say the beast was going up to attack Vintervik and plays something like Rush and moves up a step. Just moves north. So Rush would not be the best example because it's a 3-step. So let's say they play Summon Changeling, which lets them move 1 step. So they move 1 step, they go north. At the end of placing those cards, they say, all right, there is a trail on this settler in Vintervik. Immediately, the hunters have to choose to either spend the grudge and trigger Flare, or to hold on to the card. If they choose to spend the grudge and play the Flare, they'll declare it. They say we have a reaction, we play Flare, and it lets you move any settler 1 step. It doesn't have to be the settler with the trail. You can move Tividens if you want. But most of the time, it works best to take the settler that's in danger, that is currently at the same location as the beast, and move it away, hopefully into safety. However, something that's really important to note is that this only works if it is a new trail that appears on a location. If there are old trails on the map, and the settler somehow finds themselves on that trail, it does not trigger a flare. So to illustrate this, I will take out Bolgan for a second, the giant toad. So Bolgan has a card that's called Beastly Tongue. And Beastly Tongue lets them pull a settler into their location. So I'll create a scenario here. So let's say Bolgan was last seen here, And let me just clear up the board here for people to be a little bit more clear to the viewers. All right. And let's say Bolgan's last known location was here, and they had moved 2 steps east earlier on in the game. And the hunter, Grimgear, had somehow found themselves on the same location, and there had been a trail here. So we're positioning ourselves that it is Bolgan's turn. They are right here. Grimgear has already gone here and found this trail. And Bolgan chooses to play Beastly Tongue, which lets you move a nearby hunter, settler, or animal to your location, thus pulling this settler into the swamp with them. Now this trail was already found, so there is no new trail that appeared on the settler's location, and that does not meet the conditions for the flare card. So flare is inadmissible in this case, and the settler is still at the mercy of Bolgan. Might get punished for it with Grimgear right next door, but it does get one way to get around the flare. Same thing happens on the hunter side if Varja plays command and moves a settler into this location. The trail's already there. It's not a new one, and it doesn't trigger flare. Now, all that out of the way, that essentially wraps up this quick video on how trails work in the board game Beast. Once again, if you have any questions you would like me to answer next, please leave them in the comments section or join us in the Discord server. Take care, and see you next time.